Good morning, God damn it. Person Vinegar Day 297. So, all time PR here of 95 kilos for two at 85% body fat, or 85 kilograms body weight, not body fat. Jesus Christ. Could you imagine? Anyway, yeah, 95 for two, not bad. I reckon I'll get to two plates by the end of this bowl. I mean, shit, I might even get to two plates by the end of this month or something. Or like, give it a month, I reckon I could do a two-plate overhead press, and that'd be schmick. I think a two-plate overhead press is pretty cool. Anyway, I want to talk about how hammer curls certainly do bias your brachialis. There's all these fucking homo fucking exercise science dogma motherfuckers that keep citing like one study that shows an EMG study that, oh yeah, dude, when you do hammer curls, it doesn't make any difference between supinated and pronated. They equally hit the brachialis and bicep the same. And that's just bullshit. So it's not true. The reason being, as I've talked about this before, when I arm wrestle, I always, without fail, get fucking tendonitis in my brachialis. And then when I do bicep curls, supinated bicep curls, I feel no pain in my brachialis. Why? Because my brachialis is probably not doing a hell of a lot. If it was, it would hurt because tendonitis, if you know anything about tendonitis, if you use that fucking muscle for any decent degree of stimulus, it fucking hurts. However, today I have bicep tendonitis, not brachialis tendonitis. And so I did hammer curls, and there was no pain in my bicep tendon at all. It was probably because it's mostly brachialis doing most of that contracting. Whereas if I supinate and I do a standard bicep curl, what happens? My bicep tendon fucking hurts because when you supinate, you're using mostly biceps. So unless I'm a total genetic phenom and my muscular insertions or tendon attachments are just different to everybody else's, which I don't think so, then I think that most people are probably biasing mostly the fibers that those fucking exercises are trying to do. So I don't think you should throw out hammer curls. And my bicep tendonitis is not good. Like, it's not like a mild amount. It hurts. On the weekend, this girl I was hanging out with wanted to see if I could bicep curl her, but she's like 6 foot tall and 70 kilos. Like, she's not fat, she's kind of fit, but you know what I'm saying? But she's a big chick. And then I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And I just did like this sort of a static hold, like an arm wrestler style thing, because there's no fucking way anyone could bicep 70 kilos one arm, or at least I can't. And so it was worth it. It was impressive, right? You got to do what you got to do. But I actually regret it because my tendon really doesn't feel so good right now. And I'm probably not going to be able to do any supinated curls for a week or two. But anyway, point being is I got some pretty bad tendonitis in my right arm, and yet supinated curls, pain, pronated curls, no pain. So hammer curls work. And the thing is, when it comes to shit that exercise scientists say, you got to take it with a grain of salt. I mean, you have to make a distinction whether or not this is like a gray area thing or if it's like a definite thing. Like, a definite thing that exercise scientists are right about is motor unit recruitment. You have to have high degrees of motor unit recruitment to build muscle, or progressive overload. You have to add weight over time to build muscle. There's so much data that shows both those things. It's pretty much undeniable. There's no gray area there. Although there are some nuances, it's mostly guaranteed that you need to focus on those two things. However, if there's like two fucking studies that show you that you just shouldn't be doing hammer curls, bro, and they have like an agenda and a dogmatic approach, and they're trying to sell you programming, then maybe just consider that if you don't absolutely know the answer to something, that you should just do it anyway. So if you don't absolutely know, if science has not absolutely figured out whether or not hammer curls are beneficial or not, because even exercise scientists will argue amongst each other on this shit, then just do them anyway. When in doubt, do it anyway. Because last thing I'm going to do is fucking not do hammer curls, and then 3 years from now, like every fucking exercise science study, contradicts itself. In 3 years from now, some study comes out and goes, oh, actually, sorry, no, hammer curls actually were useful. This happens all the time, by the way. Like, every fucking other study contradicts the last one because there's so many just different parameters that don't get taken into account. Like, if you have an untrained dude and you have him do bicep curls and hammer curls, yeah, motherfucker's going to get results from either one, and there's not going to be a whole lot of biasing because they have no mind-muscle connection, and their muscles are growing from any stimulus. Or if you have a guy do a shit ton of volume, it's going to look like he built a bunch of muscle when in reality he's got a bunch of muscular edema. And these are things that we didn't take into consideration until recently because we just didn't even think about them. So consider that if it's not absolutely guaranteed, if it's not an absolute yes answer from an exercise science study or some exercise scientist that's telling you these things, you have to go with a bit of lived experience. And in my case, this is a perfect example, is just Tendonitis will tell you what muscles you're biasing. I'll guarantee you that. This is actually something I used to do when I first started training intrinsically as a kid. Is I didn't know what I didn't know what biomechanics were or what exercises trained what because I was a fucking retarded autistic 14-year-old. However, I was smart enough to think, okay, when I get sore in my pecs, the next day I'd go back to the gym and I wouldn't train my pecs again, but I would try like a bunch of different exercise selections and see which ones hurt the most on my pre-existing, muscular soreness, like DOMS, like delayed onset muscle soreness. I would train different muscles the next day after they were sore because I don't get sore anymore. But when you first start training, you get sore, and I just figure out which ones are like actually activating the most. And I found that to be a good way of figuring out what muscles work what. But in a more advanced perspective, like when you're more advanced, if you want to figure out what muscles are working what based off studies, you can basically get sore and try that out, or wait until next time you get tendonitis and see if that shit's actually hurting or not, and that will probably imply whether or not that muscle's actually working or not.